Hello and welcome to today's video entitled Human Doings, How Are We All Feeling? For those of you who don't know me, my name's Colin Lawson and I'm the founder here at Equilibrium. And today's video is the first in a series of 4. And today we're going to be exploring how we're all feeling as a result of the COVID crisis. And how those feelings can sometimes lead to us having cognitive biases that can either lead to us making the wrong decisions or even worse, lead to us making no decisions whatsoever, and in essence getting stuck, so that we're unable to make the forward progress that we should be making. In the second video, we're going to be looking at how we then move out of our comfort zones. In essence, how do we get unstuck? How do we gather that momentum and start making those decisions that can add the most value to your finances and to your lives in general? Then we're going to be moving on to discussing how by engaging with us, either as an existing client on a deeper level or as a new client simply engaging with us at all, we can help you to find certainty around your finances, certainty around the decisions that you're making in what is an increasingly uncertain world. And then finally, we're going to bring it all together by looking at reasons to be proactive and making some specific actions and recommendations that you could or maybe even should be taking in order to ensure the best overall outcome for your finances and for your overall investment decisions. I think it's fair to say that most of us at the moment feel as though we're in limbo, and I think it's a great word to describe how we are at the moment. And it says it's an uncertain situation, and it's certainly that you can't control, and we certainly can't, and in which there is no progress or improvement. So yeah, we're stuck in limbo. So what do we do about it? When we first entered the crisis, one of the initial videos that we did was entitled Human Doings. And the feedback that we've had from that from clients and prospects alike have been fantastic. And we started off by explaining that as our certainty levels start to drop, then as a direct result from that, then we want to seek control. And when we want to seek control, that can lead to us taking an action bias, this desire to do something. And for many of us, that resulted in lots of trips to the supermarket to stock up on pasta and bog rolls. As we know now, pretty pointless, but we felt as though we were doing something, we felt as though we were taking some action. The purpose of the video was to explain that we have that bias and to make sure that that bias then doesn't lead to us making incorrect decisions around our portfolios, perhaps maybe selling to cash into a falling market, which as we now know would have been the incorrect thing to do. But as we move through a crisis, those biases change and evolve, and that's what I want to explore today. The American international guru, Anthony Robbins, says that we have 6 human needs, that if we're meeting these needs at all times, then we'll feel comfortable, we'll feel confident, and we'll feel centered. And the first of those needs is certainty. And I think it's fair to say that our levels of certainty have totally plummeted throughout this crisis. We need to feel certain that we've got our roof over our head. We need to feel certain that we've got a job, that we've got enough money to last us throughout our lifetimes. And many of the things that we were previously certain of has now just evaporated. On the opposite end of that coin, we also then need uncertainty to a certain extent. We need variety in the things that we do. And our uncertainty levels now are absolutely through the roof. We can't be certain if we can send our kids to school. We can't be certain if we can go out. We can't be certain who we can socialise with. And that makes things incredibly difficult. And on the variety side of things, then the variety of things that we can do has diminished. We can't go on as many holidays, we can't necessarily do all the hobbies that we used to do, we can't mix and socialise with all the people that we're used to doing it with. And so, again, as a result of COVID, things have changed dramatically. I know personally that I've got a high tolerance for uncertainty. I run a business and I race cars on track, and you can't do those two things without having a high tolerance for uncertainty. And yet I find myself up to that limit right now. I don't want to take on any more uncertainty any more than anybody else wants to at this stage. The next one is significance. We all want to feel as though we're important, we all want to feel that we matter. And for certain sections of the population, significant levels have undoubtedly gone up. If you're a key worker, if you work in the NHS, then undoubtedly you feel as though you're playing a significant role in this crisis. But if you've been furloughed, if you haven't even spoken to your employer for months, then those levels can drop dramatically. My mum volunteers at the local hospice, and her levels of significance have now gone down because she can't do that anymore. She's not able to help out in the way that she was previously. We can then move on to connection and love. We don't get the same level of connection through online events as we do from live events where we get to interact and meet with each other. We don't get the same level of connection from an online meeting as we do from meeting face to face. We can't hug each other at the moment. You don't get the same level of connection just walking around the streets because you can't see people's smiles because we're all covered up in masks. So for most of us, our levels of connection and love have dropped dramatically throughout the crisis. Then you've got growth and learning, and I've put this as an even one. Because for many of us, certainly here at Equilibrium, we've had to learn a lot. We've had to adapt a lot throughout the crisis. Our investment team, as we'll come on to in later videos, is questioning everything that we currently know about investments to make sure that our portfolios are robust for the next 10 years, as they have been for the past 10 years. But again, if you've been furloughed, if you're just at home and you're not going out, then that growth and that learning isn't keeping pace as it normally would do. And then you've got contribution. We all want to feel as though we're contributing to society as a whole. And in many ways, some people have been able to contribute. We were delighted at the work that we're able to do through the foundation in the early weeks of the crisis, where we donated over 60,000 to charities that were in desperate need. But again, for many of us, if we're self-isolating, then contributing to society as a whole becomes incredibly difficult. So if we look at all of those needs, I think it's useful for us to consider how we score in each of those different areas on an individual level. Because if we know how we score in each area, then we can hopefully start to address it and find ways of increasing our certainty or ways of increasing our significance. And hopefully, by understanding where we're at, then also we can start to move forward. And even if you're one of those very rare individuals that is actually ticking all the boxes across the board and saying, yeah, I'm all fine, I'm perfect, then don't forget the collective conscience. It's really difficult to be in a room full of happy people and feel sad. It's really difficult to be in a room of sad people and feel happy. And I remember at the start of this crisis, I've got a nice car, it's a convertible, the weather was fantastic. I went out for a nice drive, put the music on, and actually forgot about COVID for a minute. I was actually driving around feeling very happy. Then it kind of dawned on me that it just didn't feel right. So I pulled over, put the roof back up, turned the tunes down, and carried on. And so when we're surrounded by people who are feeling nervous, who are feeling unhappy, when we're surrounded by people wearing masks, then we pick up on that feeling in general anyway. And so if we look at where we're at the moment, then I think it's fair to say that we're in this for the long haul. And we'll talk about that in future videos as we go along. And I think for many of us, our capacity for uncertainty has hit its limits. We're bumping up against the amount of uncertainty that we can cope with. And when we get to that level, then ultimately it results in us having a low capacity for change. It's really hard for us then to make decisions that are different when we're bumping up against those uncertainty levels. And we move on from the action bias that I talked about at stage 1 of the crisis into the good old British fashion of keep calm and carry on. In essence, let's just carry on where we are, let's not change anything. And that's where it leads us to get stuck. And we need to find a way of moving past that. And the reason for going through this today, the reason for sharing it, is that I believe that if we can understand those cognitive biases, if we can understand that maybe we might be getting stuck, then we can start to get out of our own way. We can start to become the solution, not the problem. And hopefully as a result of that, then we can start to meet more of those 6 human needs that we all need to feel confident, happy and centred. And so in the next video, we're going to be looking at how we can move outside of those comfort zones, how where no growth happens in the comfort zone, but by stepping out of it, we're able to get unstuck, we're able to make that forward progress that we all need to make to get those outcomes that we all want to get. I'd be delighted to take your questions on these videos and get some feedback, so do please feel free to email us at askus@equilibrium.co.uk. Or you could go old school and just give us a call. Be delighted to have a chat with you. Or if you're a client, then you can use a live chat facility via our client portal. So I look forward to seeing you at the next video, and I hope that you enjoyed today's.